Friends, neighbours, fellow Canadians, if Parliament doesn't act soon, assisted suicide will be legalized. Canada will have the fewest restrictions of any nation or jurisdiction in the world. Just as many of you worked proactively to bring in good prostitution legislation last year, we can do the same for life today. I'm Mark Penninga, bringing you another ARPA Action Alert. This past February, Canada's highest court unanimously ruled that our country's laws forbidding all assisted suicide is unconstitutional. The court gave Parliament just 12 months to pass new laws, and the court said that those laws have to allow some people to kill others who meet their flimsy criteria. They said that physician-assisted death must be permitted for an adult who's competent, consenting, and suffering from an irremediable condition, which they find to be intolerable. Thousands of Canadians today, perhaps including some of your friends and family members, already meet these criteria. Canada's Justice Minister has said that this government won't be introducing legislation before the upcoming election in October. And that means that when a new government is formed, there may be only a few weeks of the Parliament sitting before the February 2016 deadline for a new law comes. Now, if Parliament hasn't passed new legislation by then, we will have no restrictions apart from that flimsy criteria that the Supreme Court laid out. So now is the time for Canadians to be talking with our members of Parliament before the election campaign is upon us and their focus is elsewhere. Most MPs will be back in their ridings for the summer, and it's critical that we take this opportunity to phone them, write them, even better, meet with them to discuss this issue. And that way, when a new Parliament is formed, it's ready to take action immediately to uphold human life. I realize some of you may be a little skeptical and think, what impact is this really going to have? Keep in mind what happened just last year when Parliament had 1 year to enact a new prostitution law. Hundreds of you contacted the federal government and you were proactive. We were very thankful to see what may have been this government's best piece of legislation in the past decade. That victory will bear fruit and be a blessing to so many people for many years. We can work the same today in regard to assisted suicide and euthanasia. So what do we say to our MPs when we phone or visit them? How do we respond if they say they've got no choice but to follow the Supreme Court's directive to allow assisted suicide? Well, we can respectfully but emphatically remind our MPs that Parliament has the legal means, even the constitutional means, to pass a new law which continues to forbid all assisted suicide. And it can do so by invoking Section 33 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, also known as the Notwithstanding Clause. That clause gives Parliament the means to pass a law, notwithstanding the court's interpretation of a section of the Charter. In this case, they can pass a law against assisted suicide, notwithstanding what the Supreme Court decided in February. Yes, most MPs are going to balk at this. The notwithstanding clause is not something they want to consider. They've never used it before, they don't want to be the first, but it exists exactly for this purpose. If the province of Quebec can invoke Section 33 to uphold their unconstitutional French language laws, surely the federal government can invoke Section 33 to uphold human life itself. This is not a partisan issue between Conservative, Liberal, NDP. Every MP should be able to agree that a top priority as a federal government is to protect human life. There's going to be pushback when we ask for this. We felt that firsthand. We're told that if this government doesn't pass a law that's in line with the court's expectations, a future government will pass a worse law. Another argument is that the provinces will just refuse to prosecute euthanasia deaths, so we better enact restrictions while we can. There's some validity in these arguments. The time may come when a restrictive euthanasia law should be passed. But we can remind our authorities God has put them in this position of authority now. Whether they recognize God as the source of their authority or not, they can only make decisions that they have authority over. Even if they work to pass a restrictive law that's in keeping with the Supreme Court decision, they still won't be able to do anything to prevent future governments, courts, or provincial governments from opening that door wider. So our message to this government can be clear and firm. We must not cross the sacred line where some humans are permitted to kill others based on their abilities or health. It's a violation of the Sixth Commandment, and as ARPA also explained in our arguments to the Supreme Court, it undermines the basis for all human rights. I encourage you to read our recent policy report on this issue, which you can find at arpacanada.ca. It provides research from other jurisdictions like the Netherlands, Belgium, Washington State, that proves these arguments that we've raised against crossing that sacred line is not fear-mongering. In these jurisdictions, it didn't take long at all for euthanasia and assisted suicide laws to be opened wider. It's a logical process. If one person has the right to have their life ended, who are we to say that someone else shouldn't have that right also? In these jurisdictions, we see children being killed because they have physical deformities. We see mobile death clinics servicing the wishes of people who are turned down by the province's medical system. We even see people being euthanized because they aren't capable of facing life after retirement. I need to be clear that we are well aware that circumstances will change as the deadline gets closer. If this government insists on crossing the sacred line and allowing assisted suicide, we will be disappointed, but we'll also work to restrict that as much as possible. But we aren't at that point yet. We have the means now to uphold the sanctity of human life, and we must urge our government to do the right thing. Now maybe you think you aren't qualified to talk to your MP about such a complicated matter. Everybody who is watching this video is capable and should consider booking a coffee or a meeting with their MP. You don't have to be an expert or even answer their tough questions. Keep in mind, they are your representative. They're called to listen to you with whatever words you're capable of. It's important to respectfully urge your MP to do everything in their power, including using the notwithstanding clause, to uphold human life. Now, after watching this video, please share it with your friends. Urge them to action as well. God has put you in a circle of influence. If you speak up and encourage others to do the same, God's command to uphold human life will be a message that Parliament can't ignore. Most of all, pray that our leaders will be given soft hearts and courageous wills to protect human life. You aren't on your own. The ARPA staff will be here happy to help you with ideas or advice. You can call us at 1-866-691-2772 or email info@arpacanada.ca. Don't delay. Take action today. Phone your MP's office. Ask for a meeting to discuss protecting vulnerable human life. And remember God's word of promise that He gave to His people thousands of years ago and still remains true today. He said, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be terrified. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." For ARPA Canada, I'm Mark Penninga.